Well, I want to put this out because, I hear a lot of talk about how the United States is going to fall apart, but actually, I'm going to give you a twist on something. Actually, it'll be Russia that falls apart when the New World Order fails, because the actual reason that Russia has been held together as a large nation is part of New World Order policy. Just as we were seeing with, the European Union, so many different diverse peoples under one union. It's going on everywhere. They're talking about it in North America, Canada, the United States, and Mexico. Now, the United States is actually far more, even though we're diverse, we're very, very together. As a matter of fact, it's like there's not much really division in the United States. You see some division going on, but a lot of it is being accentuated by some of the popular media and also some of the alternative media, probably, which works for Russia today. But I just want to give you some factoids about, things that are in Russia, because, a lot of people think when they see Russia, they see, wow, it's this big, unified country. Yeah, there's different ethnic groups, but they don't realize it's not really like that. And just give you a little quick overview, because I'm not going to make this too long. But you have Siberia, or Krasnoyarsk. Now, also in Krasnoyarsk, northern Siberia is where they mine the palladium. But I'm going to tell you, the profits, they don't really go to the miners. That's really what goes on. And you have this Sakha region over here, which takes up 3 time zones of Russia. They're basically a semi-autonomous republic. I went over this before in another video. A lot of people think Russia is just one big happy family. It's not exactly that way. Now, I also want to cut right to the chase. This area is extremely poor, yet it's very rich in minerals and natural gas and gold and silver and everything else that makes Russia a big exporter of commodities. But they're not getting a big slice of the pie. They're very poor. This is a very poor section of Russia. Very cold. But the big slice of the pie is going to the oligarchs that all live in Western Russia near Europe. That's really what the reality of it is. So I'm going to kind of go over 3. There's a lot more minorities in this, but basically I want to go over. Let's go over the Sakha Republic first. This is the largest republic in the world, basically underneath a federal government base. It's the Far Eastern Federal District. It's the largest sub-national governing body by area in the world, and the 8th largest territory in the world. So if the federal subjects of Russia were compared to other countries, it would be larger than Argentina and just a tad smaller than India. So that's the Sakha Republic that's within Russia. Now, here's where I'm getting at. They've had revolutions, and they were suppressed, and there's, Putin's done all, he talks about what happened in the United States, the American Indians, which is true. I mean, there's a lot of bad things happen, a lot of broken agreements. But this area of Russia actually broke away from Russia proper many times, and they've had severe policies on collecting taxes like reindeer pelts and stuff in the past. It was brutally enforced. Well, let me put it this way. Sakha is very well endowed with raw materials. You can just figure this out for yourself. You don't even need to hear from me like an accusation, but just take the facts. The soil contains large reserves of oil, gas, coal, diamonds, gold, silver, tin, tungsten, and many other alloys and minerals. Sakha produces 99% of all Russian diamonds and over 25% of the diamonds mined in the world. Not only that, but it's also gas, oil, coal, and gold and silver and everything else, right? Well, they're poor. They're poor. Where are the profits going to? I'm going to tell you, I read books by ministers that were in this area. Ministers, people of God. So you're going to tell me they're lying? I don't know. What are you going to tell me they're lying? I don't know. It's Western propaganda. People that had ministries in this area. See, there's a lot of Russian mafia and organized crime there, basically extorting whatever they can, and they're the big bosses. And who do they work for? The Russians in the side of Russia that's near Europe, the populated area. So the outlying areas are basically autonomous peoples within the Federation of Russian Federation. So, when you're talking about the United States could break apart, man, if there's like real pressure put on Russia, I could see these people breaking away. Well, why the hell would they freaking put up this crap anymore? What do they need? If they got all this oil, if they're producing all these diamonds, why shouldn't they get the money for it directly versus some oligarch in Russia? They produce 99% of the diamonds, right? So you're telling me, I know people, they got these people, trying to. It's amazing how they don't bring this out in the American media, but they don't. I don't know why, but they don't. Then the other thing is the Cossacks. Cossacks have always been, well, I know like they were portrayed by Stalin after World War II. I know that. And a lot of it had to do with this. In 1918, the Cossacks declared the complete independence from other nations and formed the independent states, the Ukrainian state, the Don Republic, the Kuban People's Republic. The Cossack troops formed the effective core of the anti-Bolshevik White Army. They were anti-Bolshevik. So you know what Stalin did to these people after they fought against the Nazis? He basically had them killed. It doesn't say this in the damn Wikipedia here, but there's a lot more going on than that. And anyway, the Cossack republics became centers for the anti-Bolshevik white movement. With the victory of the Red Army, the Cossack lands were subjected to basically the man-made famine, or the Holodomor, which happened in Ukraine. Now, today, if you look at when they use Cossacks to basically enforce laws or as extra policemen or anything, you'll notice they're not armed. Use a little common sense, man. There's definitely suppressed, big time, major suppressed minorities in Russia going back centuries. So that's number two, the Cossacks. And number two is the Cossacks. And number one was, I talked about the Sakha Republic. Now, number three, I'm just going to go over a few of these, but there's a lot more than that. You could talk about more than this. But you got the Siberians. The Siberia. Now, Siberia is also another place. Well, you look in northern Siberia, Krasnoyarsk. Krasnoyarsk, actually, the city is in southern Siberia. That's where all the railways all converge, and that was the major gulag capital during the Soviet Union times and stuff. But actually, there's loads of warehouses there with lots of freaking funky stuff in there. Let me put it this way: owned by the oligarchs. That's basically off the books that I knew about. I don't want to talk too much about this shit anymore because it goes over people's heads and people think I'm full of it. And I'm trying to say you ain't gonna get proof out of me. But I can tell you one thing: they got a lot more stored wealth. The oligarchs got a lot more stored wealth than what people even think they got. Way more. But anyway, Siberian regionalism. It's a political movement to form an autonomous Siberian political area, right? It originated in the mid-19th century, so the 1800s. And it got into high tide with certain activities during the Russian Civil War. But I just want to point out that, Siberians don't really consider themselves exactly, the same as what you would see in western side of Russia. There's been a lot of different suppressed peoples in Russia, and it's a matter of, people do not really, they focus in and they see a map, right? They see a map and say, well, here's Russia. This is all Russia. They're all unified. Americans over here in the United States are almost thinking like these sections of Russia are almost like in the United States. If you're going from Florida to Maine to California to New York, New Jersey to Montana to Utah or whatever, Arizona, Nevada, Mississippi, I don't know. I'm just freaking naming Illinois, Iowa, You're thinking, in the United States, things are far, far, far more unified. I noticed like Igor Panarin, Russian professor that's always like telling us, how the United States was going to fall apart back in 2008, and he says it would fall apart by 2010. So I'm thinking, this year we're going to have this major correction in the U.S. markets, which has been due for correction for a while. They're going to come out left and right and tell you how the USA is going to fall apart. The profiteers are going to be out there, freaking screaming up to the hill about how the United States is going to fall apart. In reality, Russia is actually more in danger of falling apart. What I think is going to happen is the elite got some kind of damn plan for World War III or some crap, and it's not like the elite are in with the Russian elite, Putin included. You know, when he's talking about, you know, he's in just another type of elitist. But what I think is going to happen ultimately, when a new world order and the globalists fail, the United States, I think, is going to stay together. I think what's going to happen is I think Russia is going to have the problem. They're going to break apart. They're going to actually break apart. Some of these main sections over here are going to be autonomous. Why the hell should Sakha or Krasnoyar, Siberia, give, you know, the major slice of the profits from like palladium, oil, diamonds, natural gas, and, you know, silver and gold to the oligarchs over here in the area of Russia near Europe? That's basically the way it is. These are basically, the Russian state is one big mafia organization. So you'll probably see these people, and not that I'm saying Russia, but this isn't Russia anyway. These are semi-autonomous republics within the Federation of Russia. A lot of people don't realize that. Like the USA has 50 states. All 50 states are equal. All 50 states have a lot of commonality. Yeah, there's little differences here and there. You might say the South, the Northeast, the Midwest, the West. You got Hawaii and Alaska, probably got their own little cultures a little bit. But, you know, I can go to any place in the United States, and it's going to be, you know, I can understand anybody's dialect. I can relate to anybody no matter where they are. I can call them up on the phone no matter where they are, and it would be no problem. I can also travel to any part of the United States very easily. Try to travel to the other parts of you know, Russia. You can't travel to these places very easily at all. It's actually easier to travel there in the wintertime than in the summer because the roadways get so muddy. And, you know, that's another point I brought up, that while Putin was blowing tens of billions of dollars on the Sochi Olympics, you know, to pad the accounts, the construction contract accounts of his buddies, he could have been improving the infrastructure in these areas. Now, I'm not siding with Mr. Obama or Biden or whatever you have, you know, Bush, the Bush family, or whatever the hell, you know, whatever other crooks there are out there in the United States. I'm not doing that. I'm just telling you that, you know, for all, in the United States, we actually are far more united than Russia is. There's a lot less chance of us falling apart unless their stupid propaganda takes hold. And they're trying to push that very hard. But when I look at how things are in Russia, they're not. These are semi-autonomous regions as it is. And the reason they're semi-autonomous is because they've had a lot of suppression of these people. So the Russians don't really care about them being semi-autonomous. They give them that kind of rule as long as the main profits from the oil, the natural gas, the palladium, the gold, the silver, and the diamonds goes in the hip pocket of the Russian oligarchy that is in Moscow and St. Petersburg. So that's the reality of it. You know, you talk about the elite, man. They got them all over the place. It's more. Actually, this country, I don't want to knock this country because it's like you can't knock the country. But the oligarchs on the top of Russia are the biggest damn crooks on the freaking planet, man. They're just as bad as any of the worst ones in the West. So, just want to put it out there in a succinct way because basically there's three groups. You know, you could say the Siberians, the people in the Sakha Republic, and the Cossacks are three groups that have been suppressed by Russia. They've been backstabbed by Russia, have been relegated to lesser duties, and basically ripped off by people, the oligarchs in Russia. Now, they're not the only ones. All these sections in Russia are semi-autonomous. This isn't like the United States where you're talking 50 states are equal. Nah, not at all. Not at all. And I mean, you don't have to be a detailed Russian expert to get a good picture of what's going on, because just dig into the history. This is almost like, you know, you're telling this is almost like the Cherokee Indians or something own Sakha or something. Maybe make a poor analogy, but it's almost like that. It's almost like that. So But what's going on is they're not getting the money. The money is going into the hands of the oligarchs. So anyway, enough of the freaking Russian propaganda from the alternative media, because this, maybe I'm alternative media too, but I am, I'll criticize the hell out of this crap that's going on in the West with Obamacare and all the kind of crickery that's going on Wall Street. But at the same time, I'm not going to freaking say Russia's great, and because I realize there's a lot more garbage going on over there than there is in the United States, and there's a hell of a lot less tools that they got at their disposal to fix it. Actually, what seems to be is the freaking knee-jerk reaction out of typical Russian is, oh, your Obama is not as good as our Putin. What the hell does that have to do with anything, Bubba? You know what I mean? Nothing at all. Actually, what it has to do with is a matter of realizing that we, in the United States of America, if we really exercised our freedoms like we should be, if we wanted to throw out every freaking piece of crap that's in the United States Congress and put in people that have a lot of backbone, we could do that within 2 years. They get reelected every 2 years. That's where all the power to money is. But, that's one reason I say sometimes, they do have a point in Russia in some ways, because, we get the leadership we deserve, man. People want to vote entitlement. That's what's going on in the United States, but that is all going to backfire. But at one point in time, it's probably going to backfire on the entitlement crowd, and what's going to happen there is that the core element of America that is still strong is going to rise up and take back the United States, and we're probably always going to remain strong and free. Don't let the freaking propaganda from RT get at you, because I can tell you right now, there's loads that if the major media in the United States wanted to, they could direct all kinds of stuff at Russia. But the major media is basically run by the New World Order, and the policy of the New World Order is to keep the Russia together, and also to make more inroads into more economic unions with the countries around them, with Latvia, Belarus. Actually, Belarus is not really going along with everything they're saying, but also with China, to unify them more economically so you can have bigger regionalized groupings of nations, so it can all go into one New World Order. But when the New World Order fails, you're going to see, I think you're actually going to see Russia fall apart. Not the United States. Not the United States. Because at the core of it, the United States has been the only beacon of freedom in the world ever. People don't realize that because they're spoiled. They don't realize that. The United States has been the only beacon of freedom ever. Period. People tell me about the Federal Reserve. Well, good. I buy silver. People tell me about, the royalty in England still controls the United States. Really? Really? They don't control me. They don't control me at all. So, just like to put it to you that way, I'm actually, as an American, I am just as independent as anybody that lives in the Sakha Republic of Russia. I take fierce pride. So, what I see what's going to happen, though, when the New World Order fails, you're probably going to see the Russia divide up. This is Russia here. Russia is actually here on the side where Russia proper is actually here on the side by Europe. The rest of Russia actually that we see on the map they're quite semi-autonomous. And a lot of people don't realize that.